Hey, everybody. Welcome to Versus Episode 9. I'm JWMaher, and that's Will Cohen. We're embarking on the biggest mission yet. So, what better way to embark on a mission than to put on our Milwaukee Bears jerseys and bravely face this 5-movie gauntlet that is, again, part of the ITN distribution family, the Tooth Fairy franchise. Before we get into it, Will, how you feeling this evening?
I'm drinking.
All right. Now, like other people in this community, the Tooth Fairy preys on 10-year-olds, and this is what the trailer looks like.
You need sugar to keep yourself safe. At least that's what I've heard, that's what I read, is for some reason, sugar will keep you safe from the Tooth Fairy, from the fauna. I have no idea why, but that's what they say.
Open your mouth, my child, and we shall purge you.
No, take my mind. No, please. Victor, no!
You're going to need to bear with us as we go through this movie because the mythology behind the Tooth Fairy is complicated to the point that, like, I'm going to confuse myself talking about it. Okay. Will, you want to start?
Yeah, so 2 points of order. First, I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be a hand we saw going up against the window because during the trailer it looked like a chicken, which, it wasn't a chicken. I wish it was. That would have been a lot more amusing. And also, I'm keeping track of those references. You'll know what we're talking about if you know.
Yeah. Let me start. So I'm just going to put the thing in chronological order, even though the movie does not go in chronological order. So if we go back to the great-grandmother of the family in question in this movie, apparently when the great-grandmother, the family owns a farm. So when the great-grandmother owned the farm was not a-doing well. So she was able somehow to make just like every other movie, she was able to make a pact with a witch.
She started this. We were being run off our land, and her children were starving, and she was desperate. So she made a pact. She reached right into the pit of the devil and came to a bargain with a she-witch.
Which apparently, in every movie, that's just like something that happens. It's like, well, things are going bad. Can we make a pact with a witch? And she does make a pact with a witch. And this witch apparently requires you to give your firstborn, which is the plot to every movie. Then you renege.
With the land and riches for the head of a firstborn. She never, ever kept a promise.
And now the witch is a Tooth Fairy witch. So it's like every other ITN flavored thing. It's just based on mythologies of things we know and love. So she comes and tries to kill all the children when they turn 10, when they start to lose their teeth. And there's a lot of if you have a very specific fear of having teeth knocked out or mouth horror, this movie might actually be scary to you, which is not something I say about these movies. There's a lot of very specific shit around mouth. Shit around mouth. And that's basically what happens in this movie. And then we kind of join the second generation in where the woman who is the grandmother in this movie is a child, and then the person who originated the curse sacrifices herself by burning herself and the Tooth Fairy alive in a freezer. And that's how the movie starts. Will, jump in before I move on to my next point.
So, I will say this. Shit involving the teeth in horror films is always something that discomforts me. And the fact that this didn't bother me at all says a lot. Like, first of all, I was extremely disappointed to find out that the original video I was watching on Tubi was the wrong Tooth Fairy movie, because that one actually like had great production value. It had Lachlan Monroe for some reason, and it was just like going in a weird direction. It's like, wow, this production, but this is great. I can't believe this is on there. I know it's going to get rougher than this. And then John burst my bubble and said, "No, you're watching the wrong one." Cool.
Like,
So,
Lachlan Monroe's did this? And Will's like, yeah, Lachlan Monroe's did this. Like, I don't remember that shit at all.
and then he showed me the poster. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like couldn't they have just pulled like the Darkness Falls
Yeah.
and made it essentially the Tooth Fairy myth, just creepy? Did they have to like make it a deal with the devil? Did they have to Humpty Dumpty this? That's my question. Did they have to Humpty Dumpty this? But they
Humpty
did.
Dumpty everything in this family. And you're right, Darkness Falls, even though it has like a single digit score on Rotten Tomatoes, I have fond memories of Darkness Falls. It's just done right. Like, what love it or hate it, it's done correctly.
Oh yeah,
right? We can agree on that. Love or hate Darkness Falls, the movie's done correctly. Whatever. So here we move on to like the next piece that just doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, so they, through immolating herself and sacrificing herself, we find out why she did that later in the movie. They've trapped this tooth fairy in this room, right?
right.
But it seems to me like there's no effort put into stopping anyone from, like, literally someone just opens the door. Can you hear me? Like, they just open the door's not even locked.
No.
They just open the door and like let this person out. Like, if I had, and like it's a powerful being apparently, because it's able to just like shape shift, and it's very invulnerable, and it's strong, and like it's everything you expect.
And it can like start talking into your mind and start making you do shit.
Yeah, it's got a bunch of powers, but literally its weakness is sugar, right? So they hang a bunch of candy canes from the ceiling, and they put a row of sugar in front of the door. So it can't get out.
Which in itself doesn't make any sense. Like,
Yeah,
okay, I know what they were going for.
Yeah.
I know what they were going for, because a normal demon, you can trap it in a salt circle. So they decided, well, wouldn't it be funny if it was sugar? But here's the thing, guys. The tooth fairy wants to collect teeth. Sugar makes your teeth fall out. So wouldn't that empower her?
I don't know. You're right, but I don't know. Like, it's just the tooth fairy's weakness. So, but here's the thing: like, they hang this candy canes in the ceiling. They put that row of sugar in front of the door, and then that's it. That's not even like anywhere near the house. That's like in an outbuilding on the property, right? The grandmother, we'll get back to that in a second, lives in this house alone, is doing like no upkeep on this room. Like, I would have bricked that fucking door over. I would have buried the building. Like, I would have made it so like you would not know it's there. Like, it's a room you're not using. Get rid of the fucking door. Like
Right.
Give me a break.
Yeah.
Anyway, the main character is, well, it's hard to say who the main character is, but the main character as of the beginning of the movie is Jen. And Jen is the grandmother, right? In the beginning of the movie, she's 10. Are we together on this, Will?
So far.
She's 10. There's a time jump of 30 years. 30 years. This girl, who is 10, would now be 40.
40.
Right? She'd be 40. She has daughters, but she had twin daughters, and one of the daughters has a son, and that son is now 10. Okay, let's do the math. In 30 years, we go through 2 generations. So let's just assume, get ready, get your boards ready. Let's assume she turns 15, which is the age of consent, probably where they are. And she has a baby, right? So that would mean that would be 5 years from that. Then in another 15 years, her daughters turn of age and they have a baby. Okay, that makes sense. That's 30 years. That's gross. That's gross, okay? But that's the only way this movie makes sense is you have a series of teenage pregnancies to get you where you are. They never mention that they're teenage pregnancies. And let me also mention that her daughter, Carla, looks older than her.
It's only horse poo, Corey. Try just breathing through your mouth.
Isn't that a farmer?
Looks
That was the
older.
first. That was so distracting. It's like, okay, why does mom look like she's like 30 tops, and why does the daughter look 50?
Yeah.
Like, all they had to do was just swap those roles and it would have been a little bit more believable.
They could have cast. I've watched enough of these ITN, Champ Dog, Jagged Edge, Dark Abyss, Uncorked movies, so you have a roster of shitty middle-aged actresses. Pick any of them. You could have picked any of those women, and then your roster of like young women, who you have like a dozen of those, that's your daughter. And then the kid is a kid. Actually, the kid actors in this movie are like light years beyond any kid actor that I've seen in a movie of this caliber.
What happened? My tooth fell out.
Oh!
It's just lazy.
Yeah.
This movie has the laziest casting I've ever seen. Like, okay, so the mother and the daughter are basically the same age. The kid should be biracial, is not. There is a pastor character, a priest character.
Yeah.
I don't understand him. They just basically took another person that's like the same exact age and like went to Spirit of Halloween and just spray painted his hair a little bit gray.
Your back door was open.
He's also young as shit. It's bad.
It's like,
bad.
and they're stealing from all the better movies too. Like, not only are they stealing from Darkness Falls, but it's very clear that they want to also steal from The Exorcist. But The Exorcist at least was able to have the foresight to cast someone who looked the part, and whoever the casting director is on this didn't earn the 12-pack of beer that they were clearly paid with.
Yeah.
I hope I can only hope that they were paid with Pabst Blue Ribbon and not some of the fine imported stuff that they have over in Britain.
So the fact that Jen, the grandmother, witnessed the great-grandmother Ivy kill herself to stop the Tooth Fairy the first time has, ruined, like, the funny shit is, like, she goes on a whole speech where she's like, and she has twin daughters, I sent you and Lane away when you were 9, so nothing would happen. And nothing did happen.
When you were 9, I got your father to send you and Lane away. I couldn't risk it. I didn't want you to be hurt.
However, right at the son's 10th birthday, the mother of the kid has died and he's with his aunt.
Right.
Other twin, right? So she brings him back when he's 10, and Jen's first response isn't get the fuck out of here. Like, get out of here. Come back next week.
Hello. And who's this big fella?
Right.
That's you avoid the whole movie. It's like, hey, you know what? They're just there to get a birth certificate. Give them the goddamn birth certificate and send them on their way. Like, you are going berserk, kind of knowing what's going to happen, yet you make no effort to get them off the goddamn property. And you also make no effort to secure the room the person's in. You have homeless people wandering on your property and just causing death.
Looks like your mum's got people living off her land.
There's a homeless guy. It's the first person that the Tooth Fairy kills because he walks into the room and she's like, give me a tooth. And she has a wad of money. He doesn't get that money. Spoiler alert.
2, 3.
But the funny thing is, homeless guy is
Right.
just
Okay.
on the property. He's just on the property. And Joe and Carla are walking around, and this homeless guy just spits on Carla. And like they don't like kick the fucking shit out of this guy or call the police. Like I would have at least beaten the living shit out of that guy for spitting on my woman. Right?
Right. Yeah, spoiler, I was watching this movie at work, and after a while I just stopped caring. So like it took me a while to remember to have my memory jogged about anything about this movie, let alone the homeless guy. But you're right. That like first of all, the guy didn't even look that homeless. Like
he was wearing a beanie and he was a little dirty, so he's homeless.
I mean, like, yeah, by like maybe like San Francisco standards.
Yes.
But you know, this is Britain, so like maybe East End standards, I don't know. But either way, like it just yeah, the spitting scene was ridiculous. But like it's comical that like he's trying to like drive up the price of like what he's owed for a tooth. And it's the conversation is going nowhere. And finally he fucking just gets ended. Which isn't like
No, take my money! No!
I'm fine with that.
All right. Well, let's move on. Like, I'm just escape through the rest of this film. So
yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna keep going back to mythologies. I leave stuff out. So when the great grandmother sacrifices herself and Jen is a child, there's also two other children there. There's Matt and Layla, and they're there too. And they have to do a chant and whatever, but it doesn't really matter because we find out later in the movie that if you are the matriarch at the point in time of the Tooth Fairy invasion, you can apparently sacrifice yourself and then you become the Tooth Fairy.
Right.
Which is, why would you do that? You don't stop anything by doing that. Like you literally don't. It's not a solution. Because the Tooth Fairy,
and here's the thing, they even bring that up in the movie.
Yeah,
it's like, so what? You're just going to steal kids' teeth? Oh, I would never do that. Then this is just going to keep happening.
Yeah, but so the main way to beat the Tooth Fairy is has a weakness of sugar. And I'm gonna get back to that in a second as well. It's also weird that like a couple of the death scenes in the movie, the Tooth Fairy just randomly reverts to using like dental equipment to kill people. Like she garrots a guy with dental floss. She stabs the priest in the chin with a toothbrush. And this is just random. Like sometimes it's just like, I'm going to kill you the way a slasher would kill you. I'm going to break your neck. I'm going to smash your fucking teeth in. But then randomly she's got like, you know, the prizes that kids get when they leave the dentist's office, which is weird because she's not a dentist. She's the Tooth Fairy. But I digress.
Remind me, isn't this also the film that like basically like showed someone like brushing their teeth to death?
Yes. And that like she gets possessed and like brushes her teeth to death. Like, I'll put that here. But here's my main thing. Like there's a scene where it's like legit like Lost Boys level like preparation. Like the Tooth Fairy hates sugar. We got to get all the sugar. And there is so much candy in this fucking house that I'm concerned. Like, and not just like, it's like random ass like marshmallows and marshmallow. Like they have like a ton of like marshmallow based candy, like circus peanuts and marshmallows and this, that, and the other thing. Enough that they pack the entire trunk of a car later on. So they have all this ammunition, right? The Tooth Fairy comes out, and they've also loaded super soakers full of like soda. They have like the shit soda too. They have like pineapple soda, like all the shit soda you walk past. They have that soda. So like all the red sodas and yellow sodas are loaded into water guns. Tooth Fairy shows up. The kid is not Jacob. What's that kid's name? The main kid. I forget what his name is. Whatever. The kid.
Yeah.
Like dead to rights. Dead to rights is like has a full super soaker. Is like laying into the Tooth Fairy. Tooth Fairy's like, then just stands up. The priest walks out. She stabs the priest in the face with a toothbrush. And then Joe is like, oh, shit.
Hell no.
It cuts away to the mom in the house. It cuts back. And the Tooth Fairy has captured all of them, tied them all up, and taped their mouths shut. Like, you need to show me how the fuck that happened. You got to show me that. You can't just do that.
It's not even a matter of like showing me as well. You also have to tell me why. Like, what is the end game now?
The Tooth Fairy, obviously not human, but is able to not only capture people out in the open, but carry them all to a second location and arrange them. And nobody tried to escape. Like, you didn't put the first person there, go back to get the second person, and the first person hops away. It just doesn't make any sense. You can't.
Maybe she has a pocket GLaDOS from Dinosaur Hotel 3. We don't know.
She has a bag of holding from Dungeons and Dragons. And
there we go.
Anywho, movie resolves relatively, like I said. I believe Jen does sacrifice herself at the end of the movie, and it just repeats itself. But don't worry, there's 4 more of these movies. Will, did I leave anything out?
I don't. Oh yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
There are scenes where she stalks and kills Matt, the one guy, and his daughter, and Layla, the other girl, and her like pimp / boyfriend and son. And I've got to say, for some weird reason, we go to Matt's house. There's a nun in their house.
Kind Jesus, hear my prayer. Hide me within your wounds and keep me close to you. Defend me from the evil enemy.
And call me at the hour of my death.
To the fellowship of your saints, that I may sing thy praise to them.
And they never explain why the fuck there's a nun there. But it turns out the nun is the Tooth Fairy anyway. And they have those shitty home goods candles that you switch on, that you put in your window for Christmas. And they're walking around their house while the lights are on in rooms, like they're walking around the house by candlelight, but it's clearly that shitty electric candle. And like, that is just like, don't buy a fucking candle. Like, come on, dude. Like, real Hollywood productions have candles. They were like, oh, let's just walk around with an electric candle. It looks good. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. Yeah. But anyway, well, it's drink time.
All right. So, without trying to be extremely lazy, I decided to be lazy. Let's just be honest. I found a drink called the Tooth Fairy. Thank you to Reddit user HackXOR9, however you pronounce that.
Haxor9?
Haxor9.
All right.
The Tooth Fairy recipe, which, can be done alcoholic. We're not doing that. 2 shots of white rum, 1 shot of lime juice, 1 shot of raspberry syrup, and garnish with a gardenia flower and 2 drops of peppermint oil.
All right.
Do specify. Do not do the cosmetic product, because apparently people have done that. Don't do that. Just mix everything in. Just mix everything in a glass. Drink up.
Sounds good. I'll lead off. They clearly mention in the movie that electronics don't work. Take a drink every time after that you see a piece of electronics work.
Especially when that candle turns on. Drink every single time you see someone use the word sugar.
You're gonna die. Drink every time you're confused how old a character is supposed to be.
Drink every single time that Joe says you can call me dad.
All right, and we'll cut it off there. We are going to be back next week with. It's called either the Return of the Tooth Fairy in some things, or is it? And what's
Tooth Fairy, the Root of Evil.
The Tooth Fairy, the Root of Evil. One or the other. All of these are on Tubi, by the way. I'm not recommending you watch these movies. It's just an experience. Like, get together with your friends and just as a sign of solidarity, show how much you love each other. Watch these Tooth Fairy movies and just suffer together. You will have a bond with people after watching these movies. Anyway, I'm John Maher, and that is Will Cohen. If you made this far in the video, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Every Monday we do this to ourselves for some reason. Every Wednesday,
for your entertainment.
For your entertainment, yeah. Wednesday, it's optional. There might be an extra edition of Why We Love Horror. If there is, that's when it'll be. Thursday is Why We Love Horror and Horror Headlines live across every platform. Friday, Why We Love Horror Trivia. 2 episodes usually. Tune in. We appreciate having you here, and we'll see you next week on Versus.